traded some peak Fortnite, ladies and gentlemen. Clix got himself a victory in game number 3. He's actually streaming as well with a delay, so if you missed it, go check out his perspective from that last game because it was crazy. Other things did transpire in that game, though, like Muzz, Yapko, and Rise making it to second place, really trying to push that consistency factor to its very limits. I love seeing the fact that they did make it there, because like I would love to see this trio make it to Globals.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of us would feel the same way. And you know, finally we see height being stolen after Zone 9 there by Rise, Muzz, and Yapko, and just having such a good job controlling height from there, going all the way to the final moments in that 3v3. It easily could have gone to the way of Muzz, Rise, and Yapko, but obviously Clix was just on something. And I feel like Rise, Muzz, and Yapko, they're just getting started.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you kind of mentioned that right at the end there, where they're just getting started, because their first 2 games are kind of, as Levin would say, they're a bit of stinkers, you know, like 17th, 23rd. But a highlight for me there, you know, and Kelly kind of mentioned it right there, is that this was kind of the first end game that they've kind of made, right? Taking into account how those first 2 games went. And they were the first trio to actually take high ground. So in my opinion, right, if they've been the only trio to kind of do it, and that was the first game that they've actually made it to the end game, then maybe this is a little bit of a pattern, right? Maybe it'll be easy for them in these following games where they do make it to the end game. Hopefully they've sorted something out to kind of continuously make the end game, take that height away. And yeah, I mean, we've seen how height's kind of going today. You're kind of getting it for free once you do have it. So I think this is good news for this trio.
I will say that there was a moment there where we saw Muzz's, Peterbots, and Acorn's trio all in the same little edge of zone together, and we actually saw Muzz's trio make the fastest rotate I've ever seen. And so I'm wondering if maybe that's the reason why we're not seeing them in endgame, and they've kind of learned their lesson a little bit, and so now we're going to be seeing kind of some different rotates from them. But speaking, Zeke, these zones, what did we say about North zones?
Gosh.
My apologies, guys. I'll check the supercomputer. I don't know what's going on myself. I'll go check it over there. Speaking of checking things, let's check the standings right now. At the top, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. Guys, we have not had a game that we've dropped out of 5th place. Game 1, 5th place, 6th elims. Game 2 was in VR with 13 eliminations, and now once again, 5th place with 7 eliminations. I mean, this is starting to get really, really scary. And the fact, Kelly, now they're at 249 points. They are starting to pull away. Someone needs to stop them.
It's so surreal, because in my mind, I'm like, wow, they're really doing bad at the start of Major 1, but they've already won a game and they're in 1st place. It's such a weird conditioning of our brains that if they aren't just winning every single game, we're wondering, oh, what's wrong with them? But they're doing so well. They understand that if they're not able to go for high ground, which you see them do over the last few weeks, if they need to stick to the low ground, they need to go for those eliminations. And Ritual, once again, sticking it out as a solo in the final moments right there. And I really just want to give Ritual all the flowers that he deserves.
Yeah, doing very, very well. Of course, being, you know, if not a part of the last duo that's come by, being the last player that is, of course, alive right there. So they're still holding on to the lead right there. Trio that's kind of sticking towards the top right now, still being very, very competitive. Coop and Curly, they're still performing pretty well, 201 points. That game for them, 9th place, 1 elimination. So, I mean, the 2 before that being a 2nd and a 3rd makes this one, you know, hurt probably a little bit. But regardless, they'll stick towards the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and I think a bit of that was due to the fact that they kind of were sticking in Flooded Frogs for a long time. I'm guessing that there was some kind of early game engagement that I potentially would have missed for them to go back and farm back for Flooded Frogs. And I think that's just part of the reason why their loadout wasn't exactly where they wanted to in the end game. But regardless of the situation that they're in, they're still sitting pretty up in our leaderboard right now, Zeke. So I'm excited to see what they do in the remaining half of the games we have today.
I know, it's scary, right? Because you kind of want to keep putting the pedal to the metal. With 3 games left to go today, that sets us up for day number 2, right? And then with... need to be more consistent after day number 1, right? We need to make sure we are primed for day number 2. So I'm curious to see, can we keep this momentum going? Not from just them, but from all of these top-performing trios, especially in the back half. Let's find out. Monster D-Phase, Jacob PR, take it away.
Momentum is a real thing in these tournaments, but one thing you really have to take note of, even though they're in 1st place by 29 points, Monster, it's not through sheer force like they did in that last major, like they do in the divisional cups. So realistically, it's anybody's game still.
Yeah, and we're watching it kind of play out in real time. We're seeing how much of a different, slower approach, a little bit more of a methodic approach right to the early game. But let's just keep this in mind. It's all North zones. What game number 4? And like we just wanted to emphasize, Major 2 Finals has the most amount of qualification spots. This is the most important finals of the year. Some might say you want to get your ticket to the Globals here and now. But again, the standings, I think, are just a story of Magic. Mosses, every one of these trios have had that little bit of favoritism. So once they start getting more of a difficult, let's just call it decision-making put in front of them, right? Things might start to turn, but for now, if it's gonna continue to play out this way, I mean, the story seems to be written in stone here.
Yeah, this is a fight that, you know, when you look at that stone, this is written all over it, contested. They go for Fleur Loot almost right out of the gates and immediately start teeing off. Just trying to sneak around. You mentioned yourself the closeness of the entirety of the bridge, especially underneath, and now he's getting free shield. So if anybody's going to be the one to make a play, it is going to be him up against Yusuf. He gets the elimination, and I do believe that was the wipe.
A little turn of events here for Joji, Donnie, and Prime. Okay, so a little life coming out for them here at the Shining Span. We'll see what they can make with this game here. You know, the cool part about a 2-day performance is that anything can happen, right? You have a lot of time to start making some micro adjustments and, you know, really play this tournament out to the best of your capabilities. The team that's been doing just that as well as Noah W Plays Chaos Gaming and Kazis for the second time now. We've seen them at least survive the initial touch of their drop here. It's not all teams, you know, that land kind of in this northern area that are walking away with, you know, free placements to the top of the standings. At the end of the day, you have to prove that you can stand amongst the best here and win some of these engagements. Kazis goes in, face check here, but the tick was ready. And he answers with a monster shot here, slowing down all momentum that this trio was looking to build.
Yeah, all three of them saw he was here as a solo. They beelined it over, but the scanner's out. Noah plays. All of their positions going to be revealed, but no more builds onto the tick, so he's going to be an easy target and the first one to get dropped. Good clean up there. They're going to get the Siphon mats, and you can see he absolutely needed because Noah Plays was almost fresh out of materials as well. And now they're forced to try to disengage. Maniac trying to go ahead and move on over to help his teammates, but that same distance that he closes is going to be the same thorn in the side because now he has nowhere to run.
Yeah, but Noah's barely got anything to work with here. Just a couple shots, attacks from behind, no mats to really work with either. But it is going to be a nice quick elimination. Do note with every tag they get, more confidence starts to increase. What? 2 quick elims. Kind of gets a reset here. Gonna be happy with that.
Seeing more and more action going down just the north side of Flooded Frogs. Visuals, Braids, and a Minish. Foxy Floodgates, excuse me there. They land at this spot. We have seen them contest the server room, but Visuals out of Braids and just gets taken down. I do believe that was Peterbot landing at the train, the top side of the mountain, got that loot from the server room. And there's so much distance between Braids and the rest of his teammate. I'm not sure how much help he's going to be up close.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had to look at the standings for a second. Visual, Braids, and Minish are in 5th place. Do not let this early game fight fool you. This is definitely a team that is trailing very far ahead of 6 and in the conversation right now. Little setback there, minor setback, but not completely taking them out of the running just yet. And do know, again, old Peterbot probably keys that. Jumps down, does what he does. And takes his damage, calls it a little win.
It's this fight just north, I believe, of Kappa Factory. Just following each other, not trying to let them escape. You see here the bat being charged. Joji takes the first couple damage. Both of his teammates go down. That's Craze and Donnie who get lost, and they break his way in. Eva hiding behind barrels. There's no chance. He's a hide-and-seek master as Seek, Veer, and Dash take him out. And with 54 points here, a couple of them coming from this game alone, at least they start to build that confidence up going into the second half of the day.
Definitely. That's going to jump them up towards 19th right now if the standings were locked in stone. putting them just behind Bucky, Okus, Cam, Bryce, G-Money, and Osid. Take a look at the highlight here from Seek's perspective. Oh, yeah. Getting to work with the bat. And, of course, closing out with the shotgun.
He knew his teammates were there. Almost no worry, even if he does go down. But you see a triangle being formed right now with Kanata, Bolts, and Sphinx just trying to catch somebody off guard. And as of now, it looked like it might be Dash, but as soon as those shots fire off, this is giving Bolt an opportunity to land some big damage on somebody not really paying attention. It could be Seek. But nope, that opportunity comes and goes just like that.
Both Kanata and Sphinx just a couple of pieces away from really breaking through the glass ceiling here. Their problem has just been the mid-game. Once they get past that and kind of start approaching that end game, things just haven't seemed to have lined up for them so far. Do keep in mind they are one of the few teams kind of playing this deep zone from the southern areas on up. So they've had a lot more to worry about, right, as opposed to some of the northern trios.
And fun fact about that, they actually have the most distance traveled out of everybody in this lobby, Monster, because of those zones.
All the more just impressive how they've at least managed to kind of stay in the conversation, but oh, here's a fight I didn't expect to go down this soon. Boyo, Aegis, and Acorn have a little bit of a contestation happening here at the Mass Meadows.
Yeah, almost makes you wonder what's that going to do to the game plan, because G-Money, Osid, and Bryce, they're kind of used to not getting a lot of surge, not fighting teams up on top of the mountain, having to rotate north. But Agers, Acorn, and Pollo, the whole strategy relies getting extra heals, going just towards that black market, building your surge bases, and taking advantage of teams just like this. And now they've been sidetracked off of that game plan, and so it starts to put things in your mind. Obviously, we're all looking at Acorn. Do you start to rotate the zone? Is this a team that now you must try and fight because now you're below the Storm Surge threshold of games past? It's a lot of questions that I know are going to be answered shortly, but it just goes to show the impact of one team's decision and how it affects everything else around.
Yeah, this is like the shoe put on the other foot. Bryce is the one with that ultimate high ground here. The cards kind of in his hands here to be dealt. Okay, Ager's Pollo here to not play the Storm. Want to make a little bit more of a favorable positioning for themselves. I don't blame them. Osid not taking advantage of those fresh builds though while they're rotating there. It's going to be missed damage, missed opportunities. But the fact that, again, this is like a newer trio, right? Kind of being introduced to this extreme high-level competitive play. One of the reasons why Kanata wanted to kind of mix it up. But back on over to the action here. Polar, Cynics, Decay, keeping us entertained here. Fight for the top 10 position here remaining against Naps right now. Polar doing a great job here. All at the Demon's Dojo. Things unfolding pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Cyrus kind of watching this unfold from the distance. Decay not even wanting to let this team get too comfortable either.
Yeah, he spotted out the builds, kind of finished building. You know Zyr's there. And it does look like Zyr's just going to be a big distraction. He doesn't have a shield. He has half HP. He's just trying to buy his teammate time so that way he can make that rotation off the side of Demon's Dojo, potentially try to get the reboot card for his teammate, or if they potentially have it already, get his teammate back into the game. But for now, they're going to be looking at the long game. Instead of little short wins throughout the course of the game, they're going to be looking for a revive and some big moments to try to finish this one off.
Yeah, no information on where the trio went either, so they're just going to play the rest of this out blind here. No big eliminations for them. Yamzo Higgs and Clicks right now, coming off that momentum. Ridiculous win, 14 eliminations. Got to watch it back from his perspective in the speed at which he was able to react and pick up those two elims in the end was just absolutely incredible. But the setup from Yamzo, you have to give him so much credit. Yamzo and Higgs playing crazy angles there in the end game, opening up so much opportunity for them to even turn that into victory royale. This is the strat right here, right? High ground, surge bases, fish for tags. I know we haven't seen the zone yet, but it does look to be very reminiscent of the games prior. I don't want to talk too soon about it, though. We'll see.
So you're saying impossible. But you see Dash, Seek, and Veer, I feel like they're kind of getting used to these North zones. Obviously, it's not as easy. They got 4 eliminations. A lot of their resources are being expended. 1 med kit for Dash. He's going to have to use that in a few seconds. But in the sense of this has been their game plan. Ride the whole eastern side of the zone, move up towards the north, get Surge on a lot of the teams that are kind of left behind, because more times than not, if they're this far back in zone, they might not be the most healthiest, so that's going to be the perfect chance. Just try to pop some shots, keep it moving in towards zone, and you can see that solo player just below the D and Demons Dojo on the minimap, trying to look, hey, is this the time I can get my teammates back? He doesn't even know that's a whole new team on top of that mountain.
A lot of uncertainty in the air. Let's jump in with Kook, Ree and Curly here, as they continue to get the favorable zone pulls here up towards this Flooded Frog area. They're just sitting pretty right now, wishing for some attacks to kind of come their way. Reed's in charge of the bill. He's already put 64 up. Not bad at all. We'll have to jump off this base eventually, though, and start to get to those mats. But again, you can just see that there is no rush in doing so.
Kind of see this slow play on one side of the lobby to the next. Bolts come out of Sphinx, working their way up from Hopeful Heights. Good chase down on the water sprite, just trying to make sure that they have as much of those resources as possible before they make their way down off the side of the mountain. Because they have this elevation coming into the zone, they are able to spot out a lot of the teams that have already rotated in, the teams that have already boxed up and solidified their position. So even though they're taking some storm damage, eventually going to have to use some HP heals, it's all a worthwhile sacrifice for them because it gives them a much safer path.
Taking advantage of that path as well. Very well-timed movements here. Coming in with Ocus, Bucky, and Cam right now. They seem to have found the trio lurking behind at the Oxy Floodgate for a second there. And pushing up ahead. Still retreating back here to try to pick up some of this leftover material.
Almost a much different position than we've seen him in some of the games before. I think a lot of teams are kind of catching on to how drastic some of these North pulls have actually been, but are now trying to rotate just a tad bit earlier than they have in some of the previous games. But Cam is the one that gets caught off guard by Agers, rotating deeper into zone. Just trying to hold them back the best that he can. Make them think twice about continuing to rotate on over here for elimination. That might not even be that easy.
Nedness has to come out here. This is probably what I was going to say Acorn and Agers Toya was thinking about. Like, hey, stop down right there. Yes, stay in the zone. Let us fight you. We need this damage here. But they're going to be content with a little bit of damage that they managed to pick up there. That Medmiss saving Bucky's trio. Boya was in full W key mode for a second there. You saw him how aggressive he was pushing up.
They know it's a duo, a rotate to zone because they know it's now moving further and further away.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Kanata's team has done well with these storm fights, and they beat these teams over and over again when the fights have kind of gone down in these early situations. That didn't happen so much last game, but this is looking like kind of like the game one storm fights that set them up for success early on. So I think they're feeling really confident about these battles here. Jargu, all that's left on the trio. Sphinx is going to end up finding him, boxes him up, and puts him down. Nice little med kit fished up right there. Actually, 3 med kits for the trio. Oh yeah, they're going to be super excited about that.
just the material count that I'm really going to have questions over. Did the team they fight drop enough materials to kind of replenish what they had lost up to that point? Because I saw Kanata was rather low in his situation as we jump on board Shogun's Arena, the Island, Cold, Ritual, Peterbot returning to their clouds, and now they're already extra Chug and the height advantage. Blessings for the lobby that it is going to pull a little bit more north, so they're going to have to leave that island eventually. But until then, they have the luxury to be able to look back in zone just like this and try to spot out any players, whether they're a full team or not, rotating in.
I was gonna say, let's not forget they
You ain't nothing but a lie. One, here comes the two to the three to the four. Tell them bring another round, we need plenty more. Two stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good lord. One, here comes the two to the three to the four. Tell them bring another round, we need plenty more. Two stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good lord. One, here nothing but a liar. Yeah, I walk right out the fire. Yeah, you try to keep me down, try to put me underground, but I'm only going higher. I can hear you in my head.
New Airhead Sour Bars. They start sour
Hi, I'm Carol.
and they stay sour.
Hi, I'm Carol.
Airheads have more fun.
Hit the road, Jack.
Right foot creep.
Run that bit stylish. Crop top, big t-shirt, Billy Island. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Call crazy when I pull up in silence. Mile high, run that stuff back on stylish. Flat top, big t-shirt, Billy Island. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamonds. I got the big daily eyelash. A coconut is a giant nut. If you eat too much, you'll get very fat.
If you want to roll with style, bring the sabor. Modelo Chelada Limón y Sal.
I thank God for everything.
Don't leave. I just love the way you got me feeling. The love we feeling feels like good. Take away the pain, baby, I'm feeling. Baby, I'm feeling. Ooh, I just love the way you got me feeling. The love we feeling feels like good. Take away the pain, baby, I'm feeling. Baby, I'm feeling. I told you we're not buying a dog. You always come at me with it's a prank. It's a prank. It's a prank. Please stop. Oh my God. Going no club night. You ain't going no club. It's a prank. It's a prank. It's a prank. It's a fucking rule. What the hell? What's the problem? No, I never. I did it. It was a joke. Are you ignorant?
Oh my gosh! Why would you do that?
Oh, why are you touching him? Why are you touching him? Oh.
If you're done with your ex, move on to the next. If you're done with your ex, the only ex I want is extra money. No extra stress, no. If you're done with, let me get up.
Say you're sorry, honey, but you never really show me. And I can leave the party without ever letting you know. Without ever letting you know. Say you're sorry, honey, but you never really show me. And I can leave the party without ever letting you know. Without ever letting
She turn up the spot. She throwing the knock. She doing her dance. She counting up bands. She turn up the spot. She throwing the knock. She doing her dance. She counting up bands.
The Friends and Family Sale is on now at Ray Moore and Flanagan.
Do you ever feel the beauty of the world? Maui Jim, color you can feel.
Rain, make it rain, girl, make it.
You again. Everybody's loving that Grubhub deal with Prime.
Until Dawn is leaving audiences screaming for more.
It was so insane. So much fun. 10 out of 10.
Hate to see you with some other, but know you happy. Hate to see you happy if I'm not the one driving. I'm so mature, I'm so mature, I'm so mature. It got me a therapist to tell me there's other men I ain't doing one.
Pi is a free browser extension that blocks ads on your favorite sites. You install it once and then you can use the internet freely, and you honestly forget about all the ads.
I get the millions and I fall back. Chameleons, they'll change for some change. The days ain't the same, they switch for the fame. Louis Vuitton, I'm in my bag. My memory gone, I've been hurt at. I ride like electric guitars, I be raging. Count big knots, look like yellow pages. I'm running like a race, get in the way. Change to a dancer.
Yeah. Internet money, bitch. I got black, I got white, what you want? Hop outside a ghost and hop up in a fan on. I know I'm about to blow, oh, oh, I ain't done. They try to take my floor. Ever since